We're recording. So, I'll swing over here. Be super vain. Make sure that I'm actually in the shot. Isn't that handy?
Okay, now press the middle button on the laser, and I'll shut that off. Okay.
Just hoping there's not too much background noise to get a good audio capture.
Right.
This is gonna get edited. Unlike Mike, I know how to do video editing. And more close stuff. There is no type of computer program I do not know how to handle.
Right.
Alrighty.
Okay. Ooh.
So.
Okay.
So you got out of the Air Force.
You know, yeah, I mean, actually, I think I talked to him about coming out, finally getting out of. I talked to him, yeah, about leaving Vietnam and my dad and everything. Then Mike coming up here. I had some good times up here. I had Air Force Academy cadets staying in my apartment on the weekends. I'm AD4, so I could live off base. And, you know, I usually had a part-time job, make a little extra money. When I went in service, I made like $93 a month.
Ooh.
Yeah. A little bit different these days. But, and then I went, like I said, went home and started school. And went to El
Keep
Camino.
talking. I'm going to move that because I'm pretty sure it's picking
Yeah,
up.
move that outside.
Say again? My back's killing me.
Yeah, I'm sure that's going to be better. So I was working,
Yeah.
worked for my brother Denny in Grace Brothers Health Food. And,
You got to meet Dr. Bronner, right?
well, no, Denny did. We carried his soap, and you know, we had posters of him. And one strange dude. And yeah, for a while there, I used the Dr. Bronner peppermint oil at home, and I had a quart of it in the shower. The girls all thought I smelled like a candy cane. And I lived at home for a little while, but most of the time I didn't. I would get an apartment or something. And I ran into a teacher at El Camino, a guy named John Grace. And, you know, we were not related. But John was a really good guy. And he was teaching English, you know, the freshman English. So I was in there, and there was another guy in there who had been a warrant officer, helicopter pilot in Nam. So there's the two of us, and everybody else in that class was straight out of high school.
Oh, the pain.
Oh, it was so damn funny, Shannon. One day, John Grace asked the guy, you know, this guy sitting next to me, a question. And it was so freaking obvious. He had no idea what this poem meant or anything. But he's going on and on and on. And John finally says, you know, I'm really glad that you're pre-law. Because if you were pre-med, you need to become a proctologist. And okay, so I'm laughing. And then there's these three little high school girls sitting next to me. And they lean over and they're going, what's a proctologist? And I'm laughing so hard.
That's the joke that keeps on giving.
Oh my God. Oh, hang on a second, sweetie. I'll tell you what a proctologist does. God. And but he had an apartment building down in Hermosa, 2 blocks from the water. And he had these 2 little washrooms, and one of them was plumbed for a toilet. And so what it is we blew a hole through the wall, and I rented it for $50 a month or something. And you know, God, it was a wonderful beach hall, and it was great. So I had all that going for me. Now, I'm sure I've told you this story, but I'm going to go ahead and tell it. And it's a long one. But Christmas was coming up.
You probably made it like decades ago.
And I'm just not doing Christmas.
No, it's down on
And then
17th.
the chairman of the department
Down the.
was walking down the hall one day and comes in and says, Joe,
I don't know
so,
what the name of the street.
you know, I'm glad you're going to volunteer for play Santa Claus in the skit. I said, I don't want to play Santa Claus. Well, what you'll learn when you start to go to school in higher education is that if the chairman of the department is pissed off at you, you will not graduate. So if they ask a favor, you bitch. So I'm going to have to do Christmas. Okay, fine. He said, yeah, they're doing this thing on next Saturday, and they'll get you a suit, and you just show up, and no problem. Fine. So the day before, they give me this suit that was made out of what they make grocery plastic bags out of. It was that thin. It was red. Plastic. With a plastic hat. The cheapest shit. And then they glued cotton balls together to make a beard. Fine. They say, okay, you need to be here tomorrow at 10 a.m.
What?
Saturday, what's going on? What? Oh, we're having a special holiday thing for underprivileged kids. So we're going to have 500 underprivileged kids, and you're going to give presents to them.
You drive her around tonight.
I said, what?
Supposed to give her a-
And,
Car, right?
Huh?
For a car?
oh, didn't we mention that? No, you didn't fucking mention that. So, I'm in this foul mood. I was just pissed. Just pissed. So I show up. And this hall is just filled. I'd say 75% black, Hispanic, underprivileged kids. And what they used to do, Mattel was down there in Torrance. And if you had a real charity, you could say, we need 1,000 presents. And you would say how many boys, how many girls. And the G.I. Joes were in blue and the Barbies were in pink.
And they wrapped them up?
You pick them up by the forklift load. So I got these huge stacks of presents. And a couple of girls dressed as elves. And they're doing this little skit. Oh, Merry Christmas. That was my line.
Did you flub it?
No, I don't. And then they bring, so I'm sitting in this throny thing, and they start bringing the kids up.
What is it?
And I'm sitting there thinking, this is bullshit.
Oh, really?
They're going to rip my wig or my beard off. And this is bullshit. I don't want to do this. And this little 6 or 7 year old girl comes up and sits on my knee, and I do the, have you been a good girl and everything, and I get her presents. She says, thank you, Santa, and gets up and walks away. I go, what the fuck was that? Wait a minute, wait. And then the next one. And the next one. And I suddenly realized these kids believe
tried many times.
I'm Santa.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
They believe. And I was not ready for that in the slightest. I was stunned. And, well, you know, and again, it was one after another. And I never had one act up or. So I was sitting there really confused. Because I'd heard, you know, all these stories and then blah, blah, blah.
Horror stories from all Santas.
And then a little girl comes, she's got to be 10. And I'm going, nah, okay. And she comes up and she sits on my knee. Have you been a good girl? And I get her present. She says, can I get a present for my little brother? And I said, sure, sweetie. Give me one. I said, well, where is he? I'll give it to him. And she goes, he's in the hospital dying of leukemia, and he's not going to make Christmas. Could you bring it over to him tonight?
You should really look in the camera.
And I'm staring at this little girl, and I just go, excuse me, honey, is your mom here? She goes, yes. I said, would you please go get your mom? I need to talk to her for a minute. And then a minute later, this lady comes up, and I stop the line. And I said, your daughter just told me your son is dying of leukemia. And she said, yes.
And sit over there so you can make better continuity.
Okay. And I said, well, I will come. Is that yours?
Yeah. It's been ringing all day. Oh shoot, it's Avery. She's asking for
Go
directions.
ahead.
Hey, sweetie.
So I talked to this lady,
I will come get you.
and she said, we have Christmas ready. We've got a Santa and a tree and dinner, and we're all going to be there tonight. This was like the 22nd. Said he won't make Christmas. I said, if there's anything I can do, if I can come over and help. And she said, thank you. Thank you for the thought. That's just really wonderful, but we've got her handled. Well, I still had 300 kids, so I had to give presents to them. Ho, ho, ho. And it just about killed me. And I was sick at heart. So I ran home, I drove home to Mom and Dad's place, and I walked in and said, Mom, I need you to make a Santa suit for me. And she says, well, it's about time one of you bastards asked for one. So I've had the pattern for 20 years. But she had the pattern and everything. She whipped me out this beautiful Santa Claus suit. I bought a $150 wig and beard. Now, that is $150 in 1972. That's a lot of money. So, I went to a friend of mine who worked on the Gardena Police Department. And I said, Rick, can you find me 10 or 15 families that would like to have Santa show up Christmas Eve night? And he goes, hell yeah. So he posted it at the police station. I got like 10 families. And Christmas Eve night, I got dressed, climbed into my truck, and I went and did Christmas for these people. I did it for 5 years. One night I had 26 stops. And Santa had a serious set of rules. One, Santa doesn't drink. So no hot toddies and no booze. And And Santa doesn't take money. Everybody wanted to give me $20. And I went into this one house, and the living room was set up for the adult table, and in the kitchen was the kid table. And the adults, people next door said, go next, I had a little time, so go next door to they've got a little girl. Well, she was about 8.
Last word.
And so I walk in, and all the adults are sitting around the table. They're going, oh, in the kitchen. So I walk into the kitchen, and I do the ho, ho, ho. And there's about 5 or 6 kids, mostly teenagers, and there's one 8-year-old girl. And she looked at me, and she goes, you're not Santa Claus. And I said, well then who am I? She says, you're Uncle Stan. So I turned to the other, hey Stan, come here.
No way.
And Stan walks up, from the adult table.
$5.
See? And you're Frank, you're Uncle Frank. Frank, you want to come? And then she runs into the living room. And as she did, I walked out the kitchen door and walked away. And I could hear her yelling in the house, who was that? That wasn't Santa Claus. Don't tell you. No, that can't have been Santa Claus. It was great. And then one stop was one of the girls I knew from school. And she had a little brother and sister and a single working mom. And they were last on the list. And damn, it was 2:30 in the morning when I pulled up in front of their house. And Mom and the girl I knew were sitting out front. And again, this is back. I don't have cell phones. I can't, there's no way I could keep in contact. But they were waiting for me. And I got out and they said, well, the kids have been in bed for hours. I said, okay, where's their bedroom? And it was like a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old. And they,
We interrupt this broadcast
the last
to bring
time
you
I saw
love.
you, I was in a hospital bed. We gotta stop that.
Yeah.
Now you know where I live, though.
Don't. Yes, I do know where you live.
Yeah, see? You want,
Yeah, I'll go ahead and pause this. What part did you get to?
well, I'm still talking about Santa.
Okay. Well, I was just telling Avery about that one. She finish up this bit. Like, because I only told
She was
Avery up to the
filling
point
me
where
in.
you took the presents to the little boy in the hospital. You talked your mom into making a costume.
Yeah, and well, that's what I just put through. I was talking about some of the stops I made. Go ahead and turn it back on.
No, it's still on. I
Oh,
never
it's
closed
okay. And then, so Kathy's got there's a chair there. There's another one over
Stand there
here.
for a minute.
And they share a room. So I walk into the room and I wake the two of them up and I sit them on my knees together and we chatted for about 10 minutes, and talking about mom needs all the help she can get, and and all about being good kids and whatever. We just had this really wonderful conversation, and then I tucked them back into bed and they went back to sleep. It was just, it was perfect. And a lot of times the people would, like have the bicycle out front or something. So I'd walk in with the bike and the presents. But after the first year, and I talked to somebody about it, and suddenly it's like, well, 1 year Scott rode with me, 1 year a little girl I dated on and off at school rode with me, but then all these people wanted to see this. And then about 5 years I did this.
Did
And
you tell the intersection story?
oh, jeez. Oh, that was amazing. I was working at thrifty drugstores. And so, I had like 500 candy canes. just this enormous bag of candy canes. I don't like them, but okay. So I'm driving down Crenshaw at Delamo. So it is 8 lanes each way. I mean, 4 lanes and 4 lanes. Huge intersection. And I'm driving, I got this big old 54 Chevy pickup. A big round pickup truck. And so I pull up, and there's this 10-year-old station wagon. Mom and Dad and the 3 kids. This is Christmas Eve at 9 o'clock at night. And all of a sudden that station wagon's going on. Those kids are going insane. So I got a light. I pop it into park, grab my bag and run around the front, and I started throwing candy canes in the windows. And then the entire intersection stopped. No traffic moved, and I ran the entire intersection throwing candy canes and yelling Merry Christmas. And I make it back to my in time for the green, slam it down, and Merry Christmas all, and all good night. And I motor off into the sunset.
For the rest of their lives, those children are convinced that Santa drove POS Chevys.
That was a great old truck. Over the course of my life, I've owned a lot of vehicles. I really regret selling that truck. Had a straight 6 with a 1-barrel carburetor. But I tell you what, you get it up at 70 miles an hour on a freeway, it would do that for 2 days. God, it was a wonderful old car. But finally, one night, about a week before Christmas, I walked into my folks' house, and I had the costume and everything in the box, and walked up and handed it to my father. And I said, "It's yours now." He said, "What, you're not going to do it anymore?" "No, I'm done." And my mom and dad tried to talk to me about it, and I wasn't ready. I don't know why I did that. I don't know if that was a penance. I don't know if that... I had to do that. And I was done. And I knew I was done. So I was finished. But it wasn't that much. I mean, it was, I think, within a year or two that I met your mom. And if I hadn't healed myself. See, when I came home from the service, I was empty. I was completely hollow. I couldn't give a shit about anybody or anything. But I knew how to act. So if I went to a funeral, I knew, but I didn't feel, I didn't care. And it was doing Santa that allowed me to feel again. And I don't know, it was just weird that it happened that way, but that's what happened. Santa Claus saved my life. He saved my soul.
I do though.
And
Yeah.
until you look into the eyes of a child sitting on your knee, and you look into the eyes of a child that absolutely believes, you don't understand power. I've seen pictures of the Grand Canyon. I've seen movies of the Grand Canyon. I've had people describe it to me. Nothing prepares you for coming over that last rise on that south rim, and you pull up and walk up to the Grand Canyon. Nothing can prepare you for it. That's what being Santa Claus was. It was an honor. It really was. Well, let's go ahead and kill it.
That's
for
a
now.
great line to end